India-Pakistan border skirmishes, 2016 to 2018, timeline. 2016, surgical strikes. On 29 September, 11 days after the Uri attack, the Indian Army reported it conducted surgical strikes against suspected militants in Pakistani-administered Kashmir. Lieutenant General Ranbir Singh, Indian Director General of Military Operations, DGMO, said that it had received very credible and specific information about terrorist teams who were preparing to carry out infiltration and conduct terrorist strikes inside Jammu and Kashmir and in various metros in other states. The Indian action was meant to preempt their infiltration. Indian media reported variously that between 35 and 70 terrorists had been killed. Pakistan denied that such surgical strikes occurred. The Inter-Services Public Relations said that there had been only cross-border firing. But, Pakistan Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif condemned the unprovoked and naked aggression of Indian forces, which he said resulted in the death of 2 Pakistani soldiers. UN Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon said that the UN observer group in Pakistani Kashmir did not directly observe any firing across the line of control relating to the incident. The Indian envoy at UN Syed Akbaruddin dismissed this statement, saying facts on the ground do not change whether somebody acknowledges or not. Analyst Sandeep Singh, writing in The Diplomat, said that the operation is better characterized as a cross-border raid because surgical strikes involve striking deep into the enemy territory and typically using air power. 2016, post-strikes. On 1 October, Pakistan said its soldiers had come under fire in Pimber and they responded to the attack. Indian media stated that Pakistan had started the firing. 6 Indian civilians in Poonch district were reported to be injured in firing from Pakistani soldiers on 3 October. On 4 October, the Indian Border Security Force said it witnessed Pakistani-operated unmanned aerial vehicles, WAVs, flying close to the border, presumably to survey Indian positions. The same day, an Indian soldier was injured by Pakistani fire in the Naushera sector of Rajouri district in the Indian state of Jammu and Kashmir. 3 to at least 4 Indian soldiers were injured on 5 October because of firing and shelling. 9 Pakistani soldiers were also reported to be injured in retaliatory fire. Border skirmishes continued throughout the month of October. An Indian soldier was killed by Pakistani fire in the Rajouri district of Indian-controlled Jammu and Kashmir on 16 October. 1 Pakistani civilian was stated to have been killed by Pakistani authorities while 12 others were stated to have been injured in firing by Indian forces on 19 October. On 21 October, the BSF said that it killed 7 Pakistan Rangers, a militant, and injured 3 other Pakistani soldiers in retaliatory fire after a sniper attack by Pakistani forces injured an Indian soldier, Gurnam Singh in Hiranagar, who later succumbed to his injuries in hospital. The BSF claimed that the Pakistani media confirmed the fatalities suffered by Pakistani Rangers with a news report that put the number of dead at 5. Pakistan's ISPR denied that any of its soldiers died and claimed that Indian forces resorted to unprovoked firing, which was dealt by Pakistani soldiers. On 24 October, a BSF personnel and an Indian civilian were reported to have been killed in exchange of fire between both countries, while 9 Indian civilians were reported to be injured. BSF also stated that 4 to 5 Pakistan Rangers were injured in firing from Indian side. Pakistani authorities also stated that 2 Pakistani civilians were killed in firing by Indian forces, with 6 civilians being injured. Pakistani military claimed that it had killed 5 Indian soldiers and destroyed 4 Indian military outposts on 25 October. Pakistani authorities on 26 October alleged that 2 civilians were killed while 9 others were injured in firing by Indian troops at the working boundary in Chaprar and Harpal sectors and on the lock in Pimber sector on 25 to 26 October. A BSF personnel was reported to be killed on 27 October in RS Pora sector while 10 Indian civilians were reported to be injured along the international border in Jammu region in firing by Pakistani forces. BSF claimed that it killed 1 Pakistan Ranger and injured another in retaliatory firing. 6 Pakistani civilians were killed and 22 were injured in firing by Indian forces at Shakargarh and Nikhil sectors on the same day, in a claim made 2 days later by Pakistani authorities. In addition, another 2 civilians were reported to be killed while 9 others were reported to be injured in Chaprar, Harpal and Pimber sectors. 2 Indian civilians were reported to be killed, while 4 civilians were reported to be injured in shelling by Pakistani forces on 28 October. A BSF constable was killed in an accident while retaliating to fire by Pakistani forces on the same day. Meanwhile, BSF claimed that 15 Pakistani soldiers had been killed in retaliatory fire. 3 Pakistani civilians were reported to have been killed while 5 others were injured in firing by Indian forces on the same day in Nikhil sector. According to a report by India Today, the Indian Army had destroyed a company headquarters and 4 military posts of the Pakistan Army on 29 October in retaliation to the beheading of an Indian soldiers by militants who were aided by cover fire from Pakistan Army. At least 20 Pakistani soldiers were reported to be killed in the attack according to the report. A soldier was killed in Tarkundi area of Rajuri while a civilian was killed in Mandhar and another was injured in firing and shelling by Pakistani forces on 31 October. Pakistani authorities claimed on the same day that 4 Pakistani civilians were reported to be killed while 6 were injured in firing by Indian forces. 8 Indian civilians were reported to be killed in firing and shelling by Pakistan Rangers while 23 were injured on 1 November. The Indian Army stated that it had killed 2 Pakistani soldiers and destroyed 14 military posts in retaliation. 2 Indian soldiers were reported to be killed while 2 other soldiers and a woman were reported to be injured in firing by Pakistan Army who were trying to facilitate an infiltration bid on 5 November in Poonch district. Pakistani officials stated on 7 November that 3 Pakistani civilians were killed while 6 civilians were injured in firing by Indian troops. On 8 November, 3 Pakistani civilians were killed while 3 others were injured in shelling by Indian troops according to a senior police official of Poonch district. On the same day, an Indian soldier was reportedly killed while another was seriously injured in shelling by Pakistani troops in Nowshera sector. Another 4 Indian soldiers were also reportedly injured in shelling by Pakistani troops on the same day. The soldier who was seriously wounded in Rajuri succumbed to his injuries on the following day while another was killed in sniper fire by Pakistani troops in Makal sector of Kupwara according to an Indian Army official. On 9 November, Pakistani authorities stated that 4 civilians were killed while 7 were injured in firing by Indian troops in Quirata and battle sectors on the previous day. An Indian soldier was reportedly killed in Kiran sector on 11 November in firing by Pakistan Army while 6 soldiers were injured. Pakistani authorities stated on 14 November that 7 Pakistani soldiers had been killed in gunfire by Indian forces. General Raheel Sharif later claimed that they had killed 11 Indian soldiers on the same day in retaliatory firing. The Indian Army rejected the claim. On 17 November, Northern Command of the Indian Army said in a tweet, "No fatal casualties due to Pak firing on 14-15 or 16 November." Pak Army chief claim of killing Indian soldiers on 14 November false. On 18 November, the Pakistan Navy alleged that its warship had intercepted and prevented the covert infiltration of Indian submarine in Pakistan's seaborne territories on 14 November. The ISPR released the military video footage of the alleged Indian submarine patrolling in the Arabian Sea. However, Pakistan had not identified the type of submarine it claimed to have intercepted. The Navy claimed that its warships had intercepted the incurring Indian submarine once it was detected on their military radars, and diverted the submarine from its course of actions. The Indian Navy strongly rejected the claims and termed Pakistan's interception claims as blatant lies. The Indian Navy also said that none of its ships are near Pakistan. An Indian Navy officer said in a statement, "Why would an Indian submarine surface or come to snorkeling depth near Pakistani waters? Submarines are meant to be stealthy, and they do not reveal their presence so easily whether they are on intelligence gathering or in combat missions." Another Navy officer stated that there are more than 150 ships in the northern Arabian Sea and the Persian Gulf of different nations including submarines of the China. Either the Pakistan Navy mistook some other nation's submarine as an Indian one or is just doing propaganda warfare. NDTV stated that, analysis of the video and the images released by Pakistani authorities does not indicate that the mast of the submarine which are visible in the images matches the mast of either India's Shishimar-class submarines, its Kilo-class submarines or its Chakra nuclear attack submarine. On 18 November, Commander of X-Corps of the Pakistan Army Lieutenant General Malik Zafar Iqbal said to a selected gathering of Pakistani parliamentarians and journalists in Gilgit, "Only 20 of our soldiers embraced martyrdom and claimed, they, Indian Army, lost more than 40 soldiers." On 19 November, the Pakistani military claimed that it shot down an Indian quadcopter-type drone that had allegedly crossed the lock into Pakistani-controlled Kashmir. The same day, the Pakistani police said that 4 Pakistani civilians were killed in cross-border firing. On 22 November, Indian reports said that militants or a Pakistani border action team killed 3 Indian soldiers and savagely mutilated one of the bodies in Mashil sector of Kupwara district along the loch. The Northern Command of the Indian Army said that retribution will be heavy for this cowardly act. This was the second such incident of mutilation of an Indian soldier's body in the same sector since 28 October. When the militants mutilated the body of Mandeep Singh of 17th Sikh Regiment before retreating back into Pakistan-controlled Kashmir under covering fire from Pakistan Army. Pakistan denied the accusation, calling it fabricated. On 23 November the Indian Army launched a massive attack. 120mm heavy mortars and machine guns were used in the attack on Pakistani Army posts. Artillery fire and shelling from India targeted several Pakistani villages and struck a passenger bus near the dividing line in the disputed region of Kashmir on Wednesday, killing 9 civilians. Pakistan announced that it also killed 3 soldiers including an army captain. 2 more civilians were also killed in another region of Kashmir. Pakistan military also claimed 7 Indian soldiers have been killed in retaliatory fire, which was not confirmed by India. Following the incident, DGMO of Pakistan requested for unscheduled talks on hotline and complain about killing of civilians caused by Indian Army fire. However, Indian DGMO, Lieutenant General Ranbir Singh made it clear to its counterpart about the unprovoked firing by Pakistani troops to provide cover fire to the terrorists coming from Pak. On 29 November, Pakistan and India exchanged fire on the loch north of Baramulla sector as well as Anuri sector. On 2 December, a border security force trooper was wounded by a Pakistani sniper in Bambargali sector of Rajouri district. On 29 December, it was reported that Pakistan Army fired at Indian positions in Gulpur sector of Poonch district. No casualties were reported on the Indian side. 2017. On February 13, 2017, Pakistan Army's official public relations outlet, the ISPR, stated that 3 Pakistani soldiers were killed in cross-border firing by Indian troops. The Indian Army stated on 1 May that the Border Action Team, BAT, which is alleged to be made up from terrorists and soldiers of Pakistan's army, killed and mutilated bodies of 2 Indian soldiers. Pakistan's government denied it. On May 11, 2017. The 2 countries exchanged artillery and small arms fire. Pakistan's Foreign Office stated that a civilian had been killed while 2 others were injured by Indian shelling in Subskat in Azad Kashmir, while the Associated Press reported that an Indian civilian had been killed in Nowshera. On May 14, 2017, an Indian Army official claimed that Pakistan shelling in Nowshera killed 3 Indian civilians and injured 9 others including a BSF officer. On May 23, 2017, the Indian Army claimed it had bombed Pakistani Army checkposts in Nowshera sector along the border. An Indian military spokesman said the action was taken to prevent infiltration of militants into the Indian side. However, the Pakistani military swiftly rejected the claim as false. The Indian Army stated on 26 May that it had scuttled the attempts at a cross-border infiltration by BAT, killing 2 BAT terrorists. 2 days later it stated that an army porter was killed and another injured in firing by Pakistan Army in Kiran sector. On May 29, 2017, the Indian media reports, citing defense sources, said that special forces of the Indian Army foiled an attack by Pakistan's Border Action Team, killing 2 Pakistani soldiers along the line of control in Jammu and Kashmir's Uri sector. On June 1, 2017, Livement reported, quoting an Indian government official, that the Indian Army's special forces eliminated a Pakistani border action team composed of 5 enemy soldiers along the line of control in the Muzaffarabad sector. The same day, 2 Pakistani civilians were killed and 6 others including 4 women were injured by Indian Army's cross-border firing in Battle, Jandrat and Hot Springs sectors. On 4 June, Pakistan's ISPR said that the military destroyed Indian bunkers during cross-border firing, in which 5 Indian soldiers were killed. It released video footage showing the Pakistani forces' destruction of the posts. However, the Indian Army denied the claim. No casualties have been caused to our own soldiers in ceasefire violation along Log, a senior officer of 16th Corps of the Indian Army said. The claim of the Pakistan Army that it killed 5 Indian soldiers, destroyed bunkers and firing on Log, is totally wrong, he said. Following hotline contact, the ISPR stated any Indian violations would be responded with full force at the time and place of our choosing, with the onus of responsibility on Indian aggressive behavior. Dawn reported the number of Indian ceasefire violations in 2017 at over 400, crossing last year's 382. Pakistan's DGMO, Major General Sahir Shamshad Mirza, said that Indian forces were killing civilians and inadvertent crossers of the lock and labeling them infiltrators, which was highly unprofessional and unsoldierly. He told his Indian counterpart to look inwards instead of at Pakistan for the unrest in Kashmir. On 10th of June, a Pakistani civilian was killed by Indian Army's firing in Kirakatsktar. On 14th of June, a cross-border firing between Indian and Pak Army, in Poonch and Rajouri area along Log, left 2 Pak soldiers dead. On 16th of June, an Indian soldier was killed by Pakistan Army's cross-border firing on forward posts along the line of control, Log, in Rajouri district of Jammu and Kashmir. On 22nd of June, Pakistan Border Action Team, BAT, sneaked 600 meters across the lock into the Poonch sector and killed 2 Indian Jawans. The same day, 2 Pakistani civilians were injured by Indian Army's firing in Kotli district of Azad Kashmir. On 25th of June, Pakistan Army cross-border firing resulted in death of 1 civilian in Naushera sector. On 28th of June, Indian Army's cross-border firing left a civilian dead and 3 others injured in Kotli district of Azad Kashmir. On July 1, 2017, a Pakistani civilian was injured by Indian Army's cross-border firing in Ralakot, Azad Kashmir. On 8th of July, an on-leave Indian soldier and his wife were dead and their 3 children were injured as Pak Army opened fire in Poonch district along Log, said Indian officials. According to a statement released by Pakistan Military Affairs, Indian Army fired into Pakistan-administered Azad Kashmir's area of Kairiko sector and Satwal, which resulted in death of 2 people including a 22-year-old girl. Pakistan responded with a cross-border firing. On next day of incident, Panda Rajiv Om Parkash, SSP Poonch, said that Indian Army destroyed a Pakistani checkpost. On 10th of July, Pakistan's ISPR said that Pak Army responded with an attack that destroyed 2 Indian posts and killed 4 of their soldiers. On 12th of July, 2 Indian soldiers were dead after a cross-border firing by Pak Army in Kupwara area along Lok. On 15th of July, an Indian soldier was killed by Pakistan Army's cross-border firing in Rajouri. On 16th of July, Indian Army targeted one of the armored vehicles of Pak Army which eventually fell into Neelam River at Athmakam along Lok, resulting in deaths of 4 Pak Army soldiers. On 17th of July, an Indian Army man and a minor girl were killed while 2 other civilians were critically injured in cross-border firing by Pakistan Army along the line of control in Jammu and Kashmir on Monday in Rajouri's Manjakot sector. On 18th of July, 2 Pakistani civilians were killed and 13 others were injured by Indian Army's firing at Samani sector of Pimber district and the Nagil sector of Kotli district. The deceased included a minor. Later 2 Indian Army men were killed by Pakistan Army's firing in Rajouri district. The deceased were rifleman Thamal Sinjali and Sepoy Jaspreet Singh. On 19th of July, an Indian Army junior commissioned officer, JCO, Shashi Kumar succumbed to his injuries. He was grievously injured as a result of Pakistan firing in Naushera yesterday. That same day, the Pakistan Army said that it targeted Indian posts in response to ceasefire violations the previous day, which killed 1 Pakistani soldier and 2 civilians and critically injured 7 others including 2 soldiers, and claimed that 5 Indian soldiers were killed. On 21st of July, an Indian Army Jawan was killed in cross-border firing across the line of control on Friday by Pakistani Army in Sundarbani sector of Jammu and Kashmir's Rajouri district. On 8th of August, an Indian soldier was killed by Pakistani fire in skirmishing along the line of control. On 12th of August, a 45-year-old civilian Indian woman killed by Pakistani shelling in Mendhar sector of the Poonch district of Kashmir. On 13th of August, 3 Indian soldiers were injured in Pakistan firing in Uri sector of Baramulla. On 25th of August, a BSF soldier sustained injuries when he was hit by a Pakistani sniper just below his right ear in the Araspura sector. His condition was said to be stable. The next day, on 26th of August, the BSF said that the Pakistani Rangers started unprovoked mortar shelling at forward Indian posts in Dura village of Rajouri Sundarbani district, and in retaliation it shot dead at least 3 Pakistan Rangers. On 1st of September, 1 BSF Jawan was killed in Pakistani sniper fire from across line of control in Poonch. On 13th of September, 3 BSF troopers sustained injuries in unprovoked firing by Pakistani forces on BSF posts in Poonch and Jammu districts. On 14th of September, the BSF said it killed 2 Pakistani soldiers in retaliatory fire. On 15th of September, an Indian border guard was killed by Pakistani fire in skirmishing along the line of control. On 17th of September, 1 woman killed, 5 injured as a result of Pakistan Army firing in Arena sector. On 20th of September, An Indian Army soldier was killed in Kairan sector as a result of Pakistan Army firing. On 22nd of September, the Pakistan military said that 6 Pak civilians were killed while 26 others including 15 women and 5 children were injured by Indian Army's firing in Charwa and Harpal sector. That same day, Indian police officials said that the Pakistani forces violated the ceasefire first, injuring 4 Indian civilians. On 2nd of October, the Indian Army said that 2 children were killed and a dozen civilians were wounded in unprovoked and indiscriminate firing of small arms, automatics and mortars by Pakistan soldiers in Poonch, where Indian troops killed 5 militants trying to infiltrate into India from the Pakistani side. Hindustan Times, citing an Indian Army spokesperson, said that Indian troops retaliated and the exchange of firing continued till afternoon. On 3rd of October, an Indian Army Jawan was killed when Pakistani troops violated the ceasefire along the lock in Poonch. On 4th of October, the Press Trust of India, PTI, reported that 3 Indian soldiers sustained injuries when Pakistani troops opened unprovoked and indiscriminate fire at them. A defense spokesperson said that Indian troops retaliated effectively. That same day, the Pakistan Army said that 2 children were killed from Indian firing across the lock. The Pakistan Army added that it was engaging Indian posts, and 3 Indian soldiers were reported killed in addition to 5 injured during retaliatory firing. On 12th of October, 8 Indian Army personnel including 2 porters sustained injuries due to unprovoked firing by the Pakistani troops. An army soldier and a porter later succumbed to their injuries. A defense spokesperson said, the Pakistan Army initiated unprovoked and indiscriminate firing of small arms and automatics from 10:35 hours in Krishnagati sector along the line of control, lock. On 21st of October, Indian Army porter was killed and a girl was injured in Baramulla district as result of ceasefire violation. On 25th of October, the Pakistani military said that at least 2 Pakistani citizens were killed and 6 other injured due to Indian unprovoked firing. On 2nd of November, a BSF constable was killed in Samabha sector as result of ceasefire violation. On 4th of December, a Pakistani soldier was killed as result of ceasefire violation on lock. The deceased was Chumakhan Bukti belonging to 47 Bulot Regiment. On 6th of December, a Pakistan Army junior commissioned officer, JCO, on leave, Subedar Shaukat Kiani was killed due to Indian shelling in Abispur sector along with a civilian. On 23rd of December, the Indian Army said that 4 Indian soldiers including an army major were killed in Kari sector in unprovoked firing by Pakistan. The next day, the Indian media reported that 2 Pakistani snipers were killed in Poonch and Rajouri districts. On 25th of December, the Indian Army said that a team of 5 to 6 Ghatak commandos carried out a cross-lock raid, during which they went around 250 to 300 meters inside the Pakistani side of the lock, killing at least 3 Pakistani soldiers and injuring a few others. The Times of India cited a senior Indian Army officer as saying that intelligence input suggested that Pakistanis could have suffered more casualties. Pakistan rejected Indian media reports that Indian soldiers had crossed the line of control. Initially, the Pakistan Army said that the soldiers were killed by ceasefire violation, and the Foreign Office later said that India provided cover fire for non-state actors to plant improvised explosive devices that killed the soldiers. On December 31, 2017, an Indian soldier was killed as a result of ceasefire violation in Nowshera sector. 2018. On January 3, 2018, a BSF head constable was killed as a result of ceasefire violation in Samba sector of Jammu and Kashmir. On January 4, 2018, Pakistani media reported that 3 Pakistani civilians were injured as a result of ceasefire violation in Sialkot Safarwal sector. The Indian media reported that BSF had destroyed 3 Pakistani border outposts and 2 mortar positions, killing 10 to 12 Pakistani rangers. On January 10, 2018, India reported that it had killed 138 Pakistani soldiers along the line of control during 2017, wounding 155 more. During the same time period, the Indian government admitted that it suffered 28 soldiers killed in action and a further 70 more wounded in fighting along the line of control. On January 14, 2018, an Indian Army soldier was killed in Pakistani firing in Rajouri district. On 15 January, the Indian Army said that it killed 7 Pakistani soldiers, including a major rank officer, and injured 4 others in retaliation. Additionally, the Indian Army said it also foiled an infiltration bid, killing 6 Jaish-e-Mohammed militants. A senior Indian Army officer said, "Though we responded strongly and effectively on Saturday as well, we retaliated on Monday, resulting in 7 fatal casualties and 4 injuries on Pakistan's side in Janglote area across the loch opposite Mendhar. The same day, the Pakistani army said that 4 of its soldiers were killed in Indian firing along the loch in Jandrat, Kotli sector. It also claimed that it killed 3 Indian soldiers. The Indian army denied any casualties. On 18th of January, India claimed that 1 BSF constable and a teenage girl were killed in shelling by Pakistani rangers in Raspura sector. Pakistan claimed that 2 civilians were killed and 5 others wounded in cross-border firing by Indian troops in Sialkot. On 19th of January, India claimed that 1 BSF and an Indian army soldier were killed in ceasefire violations along the Loch and Samba sector in the Sundarbani sector of Rajouri district respectively. In addition, 2 civilians were killed in the Raspura sector while 11 others were injured. In retaliation, India claimed to have killed 4 to 10 Pakistani rangers and destroyed 6 Pakistani posts. Pakistan claimed that a man and a minor girl were killed in Pimber district because of unprovoked shelling by the Indian forces. On 20th of January, India claimed that 1 Indian army soldier and 2 civilians were killed in ceasefire violations in Poonch and Jammu districts respectively. Pakistan claimed that 1 Pakistan army soldier and 2 civilians were killed in ceasefire violations by the Indian army in Nikhil sector of Kotli district. In addition, 5 civilians were reported wounded. 1 Indian army soldier who sustained injuries in Krishna Ghati sector succumbed to his wounds on 24th of January. On 21st of January, Pakistan claimed that 2 of its civilians were killed in a ceasefire violation in Nikhil sector. India claimed that 1 Indian army soldier and 3 civilians were killed in ceasefire violations in Mandhar and Raspura and Kanakak sectors respectively. On 22nd of January, India claimed that a 35-year-old woman was injured in cross-border shelling by Pakistan. She was reported to have succumbed to her wounds on 28th of January. On 28th of January, Pakistan claimed that 3 civilians were injured during ceasefire violations in Karata, Kotli and Badal and Rawalakot. On 4th of February, 4 Indian Army soldiers were reported killed and 1 injured during cross-border shelling in Rajouri sector. 2 other Indian soldiers were also reported injured by ceasefire violations in Poonch district. 1 soldier who suffered splinter injuries in Poonch district succumbed to his wounds on 12th of February. On 8th of February, India claimed that 1 Indian civilian was killed as a result of ceasefire violations by Pakistan in Krishna Ghati sector. On 11th of February, India claimed that 1 civilian was killed during a ceasefire violation in Kukurni and Laran villages of Newshera. On 15th of February, the Indian media, citing government sources, said that the Indian army killed 20 Pakistani soldiers in retaliatory firing this year, while suffering 10 casualties of its own. The same day, the Pakistan army claimed that it destroyed an Indian army post, leaving 5 soldiers killed and several injured. Pakistan reported that the retaliative strike took place hours after shelling from Indian troops hit a school van on the Pakistani side, killing its driver. India rejected Pakistan's claim as totally false. A senior Indian army officer said, "Unlike Pakistan army, we do not, and cannot, hide our casualties." On 19th of February, Pakistani media reported that an 8-year-old boy was killed due to Indian firing across the loch. The Pakistan army claimed that it had neutralized an Indian army post, killing 2 soldiers. On 20th of February, Indian army claimed that in a direct fire assault they had destroyed a Pakistani post in the Tangdar sector, killing 1 soldier and seriously injuring another. Another Pakistani post was destroyed in the Hajipur sector, killing at least 2 soldiers. On 28th of February, Indian army claimed that they killed 2 Pakistani soldiers in retaliation against ceasefire violations in the Pimber Gali sector in Rajouri district. The Pakistan army claimed that these 2 soldiers were killed in Indian firing. On 2nd of March, Indian media claimed that 2 Pakistani soldiers were killed in retaliation by the Indian army in Poonch district. On 18th of March, India claimed that 5 civilians were killed and 2 wounded as a result of Pakistan army shelling on Balakot sector of Poonch. On 3rd of April, Indian army claimed that a soldier was killed and 4 wounded as a result of Pakistan army shelling in Krishna Ghati sector. On 10th of April, Indian army claimed that 2 soldiers were killed as a result of Pakistan army firing in Rajouri. On 12th of April, Indian army claimed that a soldier was killed as a result of Pakistan army firing in Poonch's Krishna Ghati sector. On 16th of April, India claimed that an army porter was killed as a result of Pakistan army firing in Baramulla district. On 17th of April, India claimed that a soldier was injured as a result of Pakistan firing in Rajouri and later succumbed to his wounds on 21st of April. On 23rd of April, Indian Army claimed that they killed 5 Pakistani soldiers and destroyed 3 Pakistani bunkers in Poonch and Rajouri districts in retaliatory fire. On 26 April, Indian Army claimed that 3 Pakistani soldiers were killed in retaliation in Padar sector, opposite Sundarbani, in Rajouri district. Pakistan Army claimed that 2 civilians were killed in Bramla village, Padar sector, during a ceasefire violation. On 12 May, India claimed that a civilian was killed as a result of Pakistan firing in Gulpurdi Gawar area in Poonch district of Jammu division. On 16 May, India claimed that a BSF soldier was killed as a result of Pakistan firing on Mangu Chowk border outpost on the international border. Pakistan also claimed that one of its civilian was killed as a result of Indian firing on 19 May. India claimed that a BSF soldier and 4 civilians were killed as a result of Pakistan firing in Raspura and Arnia sectors of Jammu. Pakistan claimed that 4 civilians were killed in Indian firing in Puklian, Kaprar, Harpal, Charwa and Shakargar sectors. On 21 May, India claimed that a civilian was killed and 6 other wounded as a result of Pakistan firing in Jammu district. Pakistan claimed that a Pakistani ranger was killed and 3 others wounded in Indian shelling of Badwal post in Charwa sector. On 22 May, Pakistan claimed that a Pakistani ranger and a civilian was killed in Indian firing in Shakargar sector. On 23 May, India claimed that 5 civilians were killed as a result of Pakistani shelling in Jammu, Kathu and Samba district. On 24 May, India claimed that had killed 8 to 10, injured 12 Pakistani rangers and destroyed several posts in retaliatory fire during the past few days. 2018 ceasefire. On 29 May, India and Pakistan agreed to fully implement the 2003 ceasefire and stop cross-border firing. Despite this, cross-border clashes continued until mid-June, during which 7 more Indian soldiers were killed and 11 civilians were wounded. India also claimed to have carried out 9 strikes which destroyed 10 bunkers and posts of the Pakistani Rangers in Kanakak and Ignore sectors of Jammu district, killing at least 5 Pakistani Rangers and injuring 3. The last confirmed death was of an Indian soldier on 16 June.